Good morning, my name is Sadiq Khan. I am the Mayor of London, and for 3 hours I'm James O'Brien. I'm on the James O'Brien Show, filling in for him. Looking forward to receiving your calls this morning up till 1 o'clock. Normally I'm the one answering the questions. Today I want to hear from you. The issues I want to discuss for the first part of the show is in relation to the Brexit vote. Look, it happened 16 months ago now. Many of us remember where we were when we heard the results, that the country had voted to leave the European Union. The government is still in negotiations with the European Union, let alone us having left the EU. But I know from speaking to Londoners every day and others from around the country, it's already having an impact on people. I want to hear from you. How is the vote impacting you, your family, your friends, your neighbours? You may work with somebody who is affected by the EU vote. Let me tell you just some basic facts about us as the greatest capital city in the world. Our population, roughly speaking, 8.7 million Londoners. Out of those 8.7 million Londoners, and by the way, these are Londoners, more than 1 million are Londoners who are originally from the European Union. These are people born and raised maybe in Poland or Italy or Germany or Spain or Bulgaria or Romania. They've chosen to come to our great city, made a home here, and contribute hugely to our city economically, socially and culturally. Many of us either originally from the EU, or having our family somebody from the EU, or work with somebody from the EU. And I want to say this as the Mayor of London: if you are somebody who's originally from the EU and who lives in London, thank you. Thank you for all that you do to make our city the greatest city in the world. We have been a city for more than 1,000 years that's welcomed talent from around the world, welcomed trade from around the world, and made partnerships from people around the world. As long as I'm the Mayor, that's not going to change. But I recognise, though, that the last 16 months for many of you has been extremely horrible. There's been uncertainty, there's been worry, there's been anxiety, and some of you, I'm afraid, have suffered the consequences of that EU vote on June the 23rd. I want to hear from you. How has the vote impacted you? We've not left the European Union yet. The negotiations in relation to what happens after we leave haven't really commenced properly yet. We're still in the so-called divorce stage of the negotiations with the European Union. So get in touch this morning. You can call on 0345 6060 973, or you can text on 84850, or you can tweet at LBC. So that's the first part of the show. The second part of the show is about sport. Look, I'm a firm believer that actually sport isn't something that just takes place on a pitch or in a stadium. It has the potential to impact on all parts of our life. Many of us have role models who were sportsmen or women. Many of us have seen the good sport does in relation to the influence it has in the community, but also the role models from sport who have had an impact on politics. The second part of the show is about what influence we think sport does have and should have in relation to mainstream life. And I say that in a particular context. This Sunday, I'll be going to Twickenham to watch the Vikings versus the Browns, the fourth NFL game, American football game, taking place this year in London. We all know what's happened in America this year in relation to the controversy around some American footballers and their coaches protesting against the racial injustice taking place in the USA in their eyes, and the police brutality by doing what's called taking the knee during the American national anthem. And it's clearly a relevant issue. Bear in mind, this Sunday could well be some of the American footballers or their coaches or their teams also taking the one knee during the American national anthem. So the second part of the show is about sport and the impact sport has on everyday life. So please feel free to ring and join that part of the show. And the third part of the show is going to be about what I think is the single biggest challenge facing our greater city, and that is what I call a housing crisis. I see it on a daily basis, the impact of the housing crisis on ordinary Londoners. If I was speaking to you, 5-10 years ago, I'd be talking to you about my constituents who are porters or bus drivers or junior teachers not being able to afford to live in Tooting or in London. Now, the crisis is so bad, there are people from all walks of life who can't afford to rent in London, let alone fulfil their aspiration to own a home in London. Of course, as you may have seen on social media, I've got a very special guest coming in later on during my show, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party, and of course a London MP, will be coming in, taking questions from me, but also taking questions, as importantly, or more importantly, from you. So the numbers to ring in again, 0345 6060973. Or you can text on 84850, or you can tweet at LBC. I'm looking forward to the next 3 hours. Excited, tinsy-wincy bit nervous, but I'm really pleased to finally have control of the USS Enterprise. This side of the table is a lot less intimidating, I've got to tell you, than being on that side of the table answering questions from callers and from broadcasters, whether it's James, Nick, Sheila or Ian. So the first person we've got ringing in is Maria, who is a teacher originally from Italy. She's from Kingston. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
Nice talking to you. I'm fine, thank you. I'm glad to have the chance to have my say on what is happening to us European in London. Your messages are very warm and welcoming through us, but the reality of things is going in a different direction. And that's what we have felt lately.
Before we carry on, can I just set the context? So you're a Londoner?
Yes, I'm a Londoner.
You're originally from?
Salerno, the south of Italy.
And when did you come to London?
I came after my degree. I got an Italian scholarship to study abroad, and I chose England because I always loved this country. And after the 2 years, I was supposed to go back in Italy and do a PhD, but I stayed a bit longer, and I became friends with the guy that is now my husband.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And do you have children? Do you have family?
Yes, we have 2 children,
right.
Gemma 11 and Patrick 9.
Right.
We were going out for a while I was back in Italy, in Florence, so I had a job traveling between.
So you chose
Florence
London over Florence,
Milan.
Maria?
I did. My husband, well, he was my boyfriend at that time.
Yeah.
He used to come and visit me in Florence, and I used to fly back here pretty much every 2 weekends. It was the start of the Ryanair cheap flight that could put us in touch. But after 1 year, we decided to make a decision. And it was kind of easier for me to move to England as my English was pretty good, and I would have managed to get a job here instead of my husband John moving to Italy.
Yes, of course.
With a kind of beginner intermediate Italian level. So everything was fine, and I feel, as you can imagine, betrayed after what has happened after the referendum.
Well, can I just ask you, Maria? Did you stay up for the result on June the 23rd and June the 24th, the referendum night last year? Did you stay up to watch the results, or did you go to bed not knowing the results and wake up to see the results?
I stayed up until one point.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm going to go to sleep. I was sure that the Remain was going to win.
Yeah.
And then when I woke up in the morning, I felt like I was living in a nightmare. I said, oh no, that's not possible. Everybody was in great surprise, and we were really upset. I remember you were very fast to respond and make us welcome, saying that London is open to European. But it's also true that London is not UK, and the rest of UK is very different from
Why did you feel betrayed? You used the word betrayed, which is interesting. Why did you use that word?
I felt that a lot of English people have shown their true colour in that. When I speak to some of the people that have voted for Leave, they always say, oh, but it's not for you, that we voted Leave. But I am a European. So for the first time I felt I'm a foreigner in this city, and that was my home. I felt that was my home, and it's not anymore.
Maria, can I ask you a personal question? Do you still have your Italian passport, or have you got a British passport now?
No, I have my Italian passport. I'm the only one in the family.
Your children have British passports?
Yes, and my husband indeed, because he's English. That is the other thing that is very unfair. My husband can get an Italian passport, but for me it's going to be much more complicated. I'm not considering getting the English passport because I don't understand why I should do that. We are still in Europe, but the reality is that I've started to see around discrimination happening. There are a lot of jobs in which they have started to ask for the British passport, or if you have an European passport, you need to show that you have the right to work in UK. What does it mean? I mean, they are not out of EU yet, or they are asking for ELR holder. So the situation is very confusing. I have started to put a file of documentation, and especially I see that the legal position of the EU adopter has changed. So are we going to become a second-class citizen in this city? That's in this country. That's the way we feel.
Well, look, Maria, thank you for the courage to ring in, but more importantly, thank you for what you do to help London be the greatest city in the world. I'm afraid I've got to go to a break now because one of the things that we do in LBC, I'm told, is take adverts. So, Maria, thank you for ringing in. The screens are flashing up with lots of other people wanting to speak on this issue. How has the EU vote that took place 16 months ago affected you, your family, your friends, your neighbour or colleagues at work? You know the number, 0345 6060 973, or text 84850 or tweet at LBC.
This is LBC.
No more cuddles.
Are you being held prisoner by an amorous yeti? No? Splendid. Then why not use Yopa to sell your home? With Yopa, you get your own dedicated local estate agent using the latest technology to give you a totally personal service. And all for a low fixed fee from £839. You need a flipping good reason not to. Why are you dimming the lights? What's with the kimono? Book a free valuation of your home at yopa.co.uk. Yopa. Seriously, why not? Higher London fee, terms apply.
Your journey is always more pleasurable with Aeroflot Russian Airlines. Our young fleet flies to an enormous range of destinations. Come and experience true hospitality delivered by our expert cabin crew and pilots, made even better by the choice of exquisite cuisine served on board. Then just sit back, relax, and enjoy the comfort of our state-of-the-art aircraft. You'll find you've enjoyed yourself before you've even landed. Fly Aeroflot.
At Oak Furnitureland, everyone knows our furniture is 100% solid hardwood.
And it's also up to 50% off.
But most importantly, it's 100% solid hardwood.
Yes, but don't forget it's also up to 50% off.
Don't miss Oak Furnitureland's Autumn Sale Extra Savings, where you'll find quality 100% solid hardwood with up to 50% off. Autumn Sale Extra Savings must end Sunday. Order today for guaranteed Christmas delivery. Visit oakfurnitureland.co.uk to find your nearest store.
It's Super Weekend at Lidl, with up to 40% off selected products. Get a bottle of Chardonnay Reserva Privada, only $3.49. A pack of assorted fruit lollipops, just 59p. And a box of milk and chocolate mini bars, only 49p. Lidl, big on quality, little on price. Subject to availability, NI may vary, selected stores while stocks last.
Calling all units. Reports coming in of Sky's gripping new cop drama Tin Star, epic Game of Thrones, and loads more shows, all with Sky TV from £20 a month. Sky TV and Sky Q, the Next Generation box, have been sighted in the vicinity. Witnesses report watching wirelessly all round the home for just £12 extra a month. Units should respond immediately and search Sky Q to join or recontract. Sky. Believe in better.
£20 standard setup, new 18-month TV contract, requires Sky Q multi-screen. Sky Q kit loaned at no cost. Upfront payment required. Terms apply.
Have I got PPI? Want to know if you've had PPI? Find out with our free PPI check.
The team at Stanton Fisher recently claimed back over £4,500 for me. This money was invaluable, as I'd been out of work for a little while, and it gave me some breathing space.
But the claim deadline is set for August 2019, so text check to 80800 for your free PPI check.
Have I got PPI.com?
That's check to 80800.
In England, some constituencies have a lot more electors in them than other constituencies. Boundaries are changing to make parliamentary constituencies more equal. Don't miss the last chance to help us shape the new constituencies in your local area. Time is running out. View a map of the proposed changes in your area and have your say at bce2018.org.uk.
How many tablets did you take this morning? On average, people over 55 say 4. That's over 100 a month. Well, at least for your painful joints, there's an alternative treatment. Voltarol 12-hour gel works deep in the joint to fight pain and inflammation all day long. Voltarol 12-hour gel. Let's hear it for the joy of movement. Ask your pharmacist.
Voltarol 12-hour MHLP 2.32% gel contains diclofenac diethylammonium for relief of pain and inflammation. Always read the label.
This is LBC. Sadiq Khan. Text 84850.
My name is Sadiq Khan. I'm the Mayor of London, standing in for James O'Brien until 1 o'clock. I'm asking you to ring in to let me know how the EU negotiations are affecting you and your life, or the lack of negotiations impacting on your life. I mean, just to give you some idea of the contribution Londoners make, EU citizens make to our city. Of course, we've got to train up our youngsters to do the jobs for today and tomorrow, but we still need skilled EU migration. The financial sector, over 190,000 workers are EU nationals. In the construction sector, housing, more than 350,000 people who work in London's construction sector. That's more than 27% are from the EU. Accommodation and food services, 80,000. Professional, scientific and technical activities, 75,000. And I could go on and on. So if you're affected by the vote last June, or affected by the negotiations or lack of negotiations, get in touch. You can call 0345 6060 973. You can text on 84850 or tweet at LBC. And the next caller is Mikkel, who I'm told is ringing from Welwyn Garden City. Good morning, Mikkel.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Hopefully you're having a good day and enjoying the social far.
So far. A bit nervous, but also excited, Mikkel. Listen, tell me this, mate. How are how did the EU vote or the negotiations or lack of negotiations impacting on your life or the lives of your family or friends or neighbours or people you work with?
So, couple of quick, points, because I know that probably, hundreds of people, want to talk to you. I'm from Poland. I've been living here for 12 years. I'm a teacher by profession, but for the last 8 or 9 years, I've been working in the charity sector, and I absolutely love it. I love the opportunity to make a difference on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I'm probably an unusual Paul, because, first of all, I have no manual skills. I'm not a plumber or electrician. Mm-hmm. Which is, also quite, I think, interesting, because, we often tend to label people. Oh, he's from Poland, he's an electrician, he's from, Germany, he works in a, financial sector, stuff like that. My wife is from Croatia, so a very kind of European family, and our journey to Britain was also quite different.
That's what our country's been about for more than 1,000 years, Mikkel. People from all over the world coming here and contributing. But
so, since the kind of referendum, basically, I was in Rome. You were asking, the Italian lady the same questions. I was in Rome on the day when the result was announced, and I was, quite shocked and very, very upset. I as a person, I try to always stay positive, and I'm kind of always trying to look on the bright side. Having said that, it is very worrying. I have a lot of worries and concerns. I have 3 daughters, 11, 8, and 2.5. And I also, like Maria, I don't have a British passport. I never thought that I would need one.
Mikkel, can I just interrupt and ask you a personal question? Do your children have Polish passports or Croatian passports or British passports?
Yes, they do. Yeah, they don't have a British passport, basically. And at the moment thinking about applying for one, because again, going forward, I'm really, really worried. So 16 months, as you were saying in your introduction, 16 months on, and I still, my situation has not been resolved. There is still a lot of uncertainty, around the rights of EU nationals living in the UK. I'm not even, mentioning other things, economy, Scotland Auckland, I know Irish border, and many other things. I, for example, Mr. Mayor as well, had a chance, and I'm absolutely proud of that. I had a chance to be a councillor in Welland Hatfield.
Okay.
I lost my seat. I've made that as well, and that's for me a massive achievement. Someone who was obviously born abroad and lived here not that long, and I lost my seat last year. But again, one of the things I just want to say as well that many EU nationals who are living here, they're not only contributing by paying taxes and most people are in employment, but they're also contributing in a lot of other ways. And I passionately believe, as someone who was brought up during communism, I believe strongly in being a part of the political process as well. I was again, as I said, I was a councillor. I love the whole experience, and it's really important as well to kind of to show that
Mikhail,
a lot of different ways. I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, if I can, for example, in 2 years' time, I'll be eligible to stand again. Because maybe that right of representing my constituents will be taken away from me, and that would be for me a complete and utter, a devastation, because I so strongly believe in being part of the democracy, if you like, process.
No, Mikhail, can I say, it's important that you remind us of our history. One of the reasons why John Major, when he was the Prime Minister, was in support of membership of emerging democracies into the European Union was because they feared that he and many other liberal-minded leaders of Western countries, that rather these emerging democracies be influenced by the West, rather than be influenced by the former Soviet Union. And that's why the EU was enlarged. And actually, it appears that we're now turning our back on some of the progress made with the human rights, with the importance of solidarity. And you know well about the Polish history and stuff. And it's obviously a big issue for many who came from emerging democracies. Can I ask you this, Mikhail? How do your family and friends feel about the vote last June? And in particular, and this is a leading question, I accept this, about being used as bargaining chips?
Yeah, look, I still feel often, and again, I really find it so difficult in many ways. I still feel often as a second-class citizen, and only because I have a Polish passport, doesn't mean that, I should be treated as a second-class citizen. And Mr. Mayor, just one last thing as well, really. I sometimes it's really difficult to win this battle, because if I don't work, people say to me, I live, on benefits, and I'm not contributing. If I work, then I take a job away from a British person. It's so unbalanced, the whole debate, and debate hasn't really changed, unfortunately. I still think, it's very, very unbalanced and unwise and not very mature. And really makes me really sad, because I'm doing my best, like many other EU nationals living in Britain, trying really to make this country my home, and it is home for my kids. And yet it seems to me that I constantly have to prove that I'm a worthwhile citizen, and it is becoming it's more painful than before in many ways.
Mikhail, thank you for ringing in, and thank you for the contribution you make to our society more widely. We've got another caller who wants to have a quick chat, and we've got before the 10:30 news. I think we've got Ben ringing in. Ben's from Rochester. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Mr. Khan.
Ben, what do you want to say?
I just want a bit of a clarification from you, so if that's okay.
Of course.
I voted Leave, and I still stand by it to this day. But when David Cameron came out after the general election in 2015, he didn't say, I'm going to put a test to the British people to say who to go home and who wants to stay here. He said, this is a referendum on the European Union. No one has talked about sending people home at all, or saying that they're useless, they're this or that. It's not. Yes, there's been attacks, I'd admit that, but I'm not one of those people who, put prejudice on people because of their nationality.
Thank you so much for saying that, because it's really important to get this across. People who voted to leave the EU voted for a variety of reasons, and I think what's happened is, because of the negotiations going so poorly, and because of the lack of a cast-iron guarantee, inadvertently, people who are originally from the EU are feeling, you've heard the phrase, betrayed and like second-class citizens. But do you want to explain, just as to our listeners, some of the reasons why you voted to leave the EU?
Well, it was a variety of reasons. I mean, like, just to have, control of our fishing, trading, and sovereignty, mainly. And I think that there's, other bits and pieces that, we elect every 5 years should have to do. And I just feel like the EU, when we weren't working close enough to, we weren't making it fair. And so that's why I did it. But look at all the, yes, there are some who are scared, but I just don't, see why we should be stereotyped or portrayed as the villains and the Remains as the heroes. I feel a bit, what's the word? Offended, if I may say, and I've not, myself and many others have talked about that. And look at the EU citizens, or people of Europe who may live here or stayed here, or lived in their country, whether it be France, Italy, Germany, etc., who some might be respect the result. If say I'm happy with it. I'm not scared by it. Don't they get a say?
No, Ben, it's really important. Thank you for clarifying that. It's just worth reminding listeners that there are more than 1 million British citizens living in EU countries who also are just uncertain about their future. Ben, can I ask you this final thing before we've got to go to the news? Do you think our Parliament should get a vote on the deal that the executive, the government, does with the EU, bearing in mind that you wanted to bring back powers to the UK into our Parliament? What's your views on our Parliament having a vote on the deal negotiated by Theresa May and David Davis?
Well, I think if that happens, then if they get if Parliament gets a vote, I think it is unequivocal that they'll say no, I'm not vote, or they'll vote against that deal, and therefore will probably mean we'll have to stay in the EU.
Well, Ben, thank you for ringing in. Thank you very much for your candour and your honesty, and for explaining some of the reasons why you voted to leave the EU. And it's really important, those of us who campaign to remain, don't caricature or make a generalisation about the motives for those who voted to leave the EU. This is LBC with me, Sadiq Khan. The time is 10:30. And it's the news now with Simon Conway.
The number of arrests made by police in England and Wales has almost halved in the last 10 years. The figures have been released after separate data last week revealed a rise in offences recorded by police. Spain's Prime Minister has asked the country's Senate for approval to depose the Catalan leader. Mariano Rajoy wants to stop Carles Puigdemont and his executive from declaring independence. Uber has appointed a former Bank of England advisor as its first UK chair. Laurel Powers-Freeling has been hired, while the minicab app firm is appealing against a decision not to renew its licence to operate in London. LBC weather after a chilly start, any mist or fog patches clearing to leave a dry day with sunny spells, a high of 14 degrees.
LBC travel on the M25. It's slow anti-clockwise between junctions 6 at Godstone and 5 at the M26. And that was after a van broke down earlier. All the lanes are open now, but it's still very slow. In Euston, there are long delays with Eversholt Street being closed in both directions by Euston train station because of a burst water main. Hammersmith Bridge stays closed for those roadworks, extremely busy in the area. And on the trains, there are delays of about half an hour on South Western Railway services between Wandsworth Town and Waterloo. LBC Travel, I'm Joanne Webb.
This is LBC.
I could be at home now. Maybe watching telly with the kids. Or I was thinking about going for a pint. Instead, I've punctured my lung and it's slowly filling up with blood. I'm going into cardiac arrest now. Silly place to overtake, really. Still, you live and learn, don't you? Don't you?
Motorcyclists, think. Don't ride too fast.
To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters. Begin. Grow. Imagine how much more you could do. With fast, affordable business loans, you can find out. Funding Circle, for those made to do more. Visit fundingcircle.com. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Hi, you've reached Tom's voicemail. I can't come to the phone because Season 8 of Fox's The Walking Dead is streaming on Now TV. I've been looking forward to this and I'm not missing it. So, leave a message. Although the Now TV Entertainment Pass does have over 250 box sets to watch. So maybe, don't call me, I'll call you.
To get your 14-day free trial of the latest shows, including The Walking Dead, search Now TV. 18 plus, new customers only, pass auto renews at $7.99 a month unless cancelled.
Hello, I'm a new idea. Your competitors don't know about me yet, but you will if your phone system is a Vonage phone system. That's because Vonage call plans start from just £12 a month. So instead of watching the minutes, you'll be looking out for new ideas like me that'll grow your business. Answer every opportunity with Vonage. Just visit vonage.co.uk or call 0203 435 8000. Excludes VAT at 20%. Terms and contract apply.
Whoever they want to be in life, give them a great start with WellKid. Carefully balanced, great-tasting vitamins and minerals for 4 to 12-year-olds, with specific nutrients such as zinc and vitamin D, which support normal immune system function. The WellKid range from Vitabiotics, from Boots, pharmacies and Vitabiotics.com.
It's Super Weekend at Lidl, with up to 40% off selected products. Get a bottle of Chardonnay Reserva Privada, only $3.49. A pack of assorted fruit lollipops, just 59p. And a box of milk and chocolate mini bars, only 49p. Lidl, big on quality, little on price. Subject to availability, and I may vary selected stores while stocks last.
The binder's broken again, and it's so slow and awkward.
Binding will always be a bind with a budget machine and supplies that aren't really up to it in the first place. Talk to Single Source Binding Machines. Their precision German-made binding machines are built to last for superbly bound documents every time, quickly and reliably, complete with free lifetime maintenance.
Call 0207 515 0539.
Exclusions apply. Lifetime maintenance based on purchase of supplies for the product's lifetime.
Nobody likes the unknown, especially when it comes to selling your home. So don't choose an estate agent, choose Property Rescue. They'll simply buy your property direct, which means you could exchange, with money in the bank, in just 48 hours. So, no need to worry about the unknown of selling on the open market. Get that just sold feeling with Property Rescue. Fast forward to peace of mind at propertyrescue.co.uk.
Sadiq Khan on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
My name is Sadiq Khan, I'm the Mayor of London, and I'm doing a poor impersonation of James O'Brien until 1 o'clock today, stepping in for him while he's having a well-earned break, I've been told to say. Listen, for the first part of the show, we're taking calls on the EU vote that took place last June, 16 months ago. I want you to ring in or text or tweet on how you feel the negotiations are going, but more importantly, what the impact has been on you, your family, your friends, people you work with, and how the lack of negotiations are impacting on your life. The screens are lit up with various phone calls, and we'll take a few more in a moment, but I've had loads and loads of texts, and Twitter's been very hyperactive as well. One of the texts that we've received says, Sadiq, we voted to leave on that day based on how the European Union was at that point in time. No one can tell us what the Europe will be like in another 30 years. One tax, one army, one government. It might be better for us, it may not. And we know through our past history, if we need skilled labour from other countries, we will get them. Somebody else texted in and said, my husband is Italian and lived here since 1966. Before Common Market, he had a permit and had no problems. This system worked well and could again. I voted leave because I feel strongly it'll be better for the country, and from Islington. We've also had a tweet from somebody called Sakalain A. Chowdhury, and Sakalain says, in the financial sector, over 190,000 workers are from the EU. It's time our government doesn't treat them as bargaining chips. And one more text I'll read out, which is, and there's loads, by the way, thank you very much for those who've taken the time to text or to tweet and have rung in. I'll come to your calls in a moment. The underlying reason is discrimination. That makes me feel ashamed. EU nationals and other migrants who are lawfully here are welcome, and we are all better off as part of the EU. From Michael in Orpington. The number to ring is 0345 6060 973, or you can text on 84850 or tweet at LBC. The next caller is someone from Mansfield. It's Daniel. Good morning, Daniel. Thanks for ringing in.
Good morning, Steve. I've just got one question for you. How did London survive before the 70s?
Good question, Daniel. Look, we are currently...
Where did you get all your workers from? Where did everything come from?
Sure. Let me explain. You've asked the question, I think. Let me explain. So look, London currently, and I think all independent experts from around the world say this with envy, is the greatest city in the world, financially, culturally, all sorts of factors and ways of measuring success. Separate league tables put us at the top of them for a variety of reasons. Being a member of the single market is a big factor. Having access to the custom union is a big factor. Our ability to attract talent is a big factor. The fact that we have more international students in London than any other capital city in the world is a big factor. And you'll remember, Daniel, because I've studied the history books, but there was a time in the 70s where we were considered the sick man of Europe as a country. Thankfully, that's not the case anymore, and I'd say a big part of that is the role of the European Union in contributing to London being such a diverse city. I think diversity is a strength, and I think one of the factors has been the EU. That's not to say this, though, Daniel. I don't accept the case that we can't still be successful afterwards. I'm not a doom merchant. I think it's possible because of our underlying strengths, because of who we are, and what we've been for 1,000 years for us to be successful afterwards. But, here's the but, the negotiations have got to be done well. The deal we do with the EU has got to be a good one. And my point is this, Daniel, in my question. In the meantime, there are our fellow citizens and neighbours who are feeling a bit scared and a bit vulnerable. Sorry, Daniel, over to you.
No, I'm just saying the negotiations is the biggest shamble that's going off in our history, and it's a disappointment to... Because I'm a Leaver, and I'm very disappointed on the way it's going. I do not see that... I just see it's going to come down to another vote. Corbyn's going to turn around and go, no, we're not going to take that deal. So the government collapses, he comes into power, and lo and behold, we're back in the EU again.
Well, but I mean, listen, can I just say this? I think those people that voted to leave the EU, it's in their interests for the negotiations to go well. And when I meet government ministers, by the way, I make this point to them. I say, listen, I voted to remain, right? And I could quite easily cross my arms and be smug and hope it fails and say, I told you so. I don't want that to happen.
Yep.
I want this deal to be done well, because we all suffer if it goes badly. But I think you're right, lack of planning, and it's shocking.
As the government asks the public, what would they like out of the deal? What would we like? We haven't got a say in it. We've decided to leave, and now the government is taking over the negotiations, deciding what's good for us. They haven't even asked us why did you vote to leave? What are the factors? What can we go for?
Can I ask you
what
that?
Should we negotiate?
Can I ask you, Daniel, if it's not too personal, what was your motivation when you voted to leave? What were the factors you were thinking about?
My factors is the wages, basically.
They'd gone down because of...
Well, they're not gone down. They're standing still. I'm not saying, because a lot of these Eastern Europeans that come in work very hard, and they do work hard. But the trouble is, where they are in Eastern Europe, in Poland and everything like that, they're not on the wages that we get here. So they could come over here, and they're quite happy to work to less than the minimum wage, because it's more than what they're getting over there. The problem with that is, it's kept everyone else's wages the same.
But do you not think...
Stuff has changed.
Sure, do you not think governments and those in positions of power and influence like me should take action against those employers who are paying below the national minimum wage, or those employers that are abusing workers who come from overseas? It's a race to the bottom, isn't it?
I do agree with that, but the problem we've got now is businesses are more powerful than governments.
Yeah.
They've got more money than governments, and at the end of the day, if a government wants to get into power, it's going to need the money of big business to get there in the first place.
Well, listen, Daniel, thank you for ringing in. Before you leave, can I ask you this one question? Do you think our Parliament, our MPs, should get a vote on the deal that the government, the executive, does with the EU?
Yes, I do think they should get a vote, but there should only be two choices. The deal that the government's decided, or a no deal.
Daniel, thank you so much for ringing. That's Daniel from Mansfield, who, again, has been really candid and straight about the reasons he voted to leave, and some of the concerns that he has about, in his words, the shambolic way this government's negotiation with the European Union. I've got another caller who's waiting to speak. I think that this next caller is from Tower Hamlets. I think it's Hanad. Hanad, are you there?
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Morning, Hanad. What's your question, or comment, or anything you want to raise?
I mean, it's a question, and what I wanted to ask is why you sort of say that you used Uber when you were campaigning to be mayor, and then say you'd never use them when you decided to revoke their licence. I mean, isn't that dishonest?
Well, Hannah, thank you for that relevant question about the EU. Let me answer that question directly. I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Next caller is Dave from Maidstone in Kent. Dave, hi, morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Sadiq. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, mate.
Good. I'm a little bit ashamed, really, to sometimes listen to you and what you have to say about Europe, about it being such a great place for Europeans and for... Yeah, I'm a black man. Yeah. And, I know for a fact I could not go to Europe and get a decent job in a bank, an advertising agency, or something along those lines. I might get a job sweeping the roads, or, you know, in a bar or whatever it is. You know, people phone up here and say that they feel ashamed to be British because of, or they feel like they're being attacked by the British for the vote. It's rubbish. There's more racism in Europe for minorities than there are in the UK. So freedom of movement is great if you're white, European. That's what the European Union is about. It's not great if you're black or a minority. So it's a complete myth, and people like you that perpetuate how great Europe is for Europeans, I can't believe you do it.
Well, Dave, let me deal directly with your point. I think the evidence tells us that the UK for minorities is the best country in the EU vis-à-vis the laws we have to protect us and our rights in place of work and in worship and all sorts of things. And one of the reasons why minorities have the best rights in the UK and are treated the best is because of politicians have passed laws to give us those rights. And you're right, in some parts of Europe there aren't these laws in place, but you're also right that minorities suffer massive discrimination. Just look at when there's football games, when British clubs go and travel in Europe, some of the racial abuse our black footballers endure is unacceptable. And that's one of the reasons why we can be a beacon to not just the rest of Europe, but the rest of the world. And, you know, they look upon us with envy in relation to the race relations protection we have and the freedoms you and I have, which means we can fulfill our potential. So I'm not sure why you think I'm doing a disservice to my city or our country by me speaking up for what I'm proud about in our country, Dave.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about this country. I'm talking about Europe. You're saying how great Europe is and how we should be ashamed that we've voted to leave Europe. I'm not. So don't try and mix what I'm telling you. Europe is not a great place if you are a minority. So to say that it's great for a freedom of movement and we're going to lose this and we're going to lose that, it's just not true, because we're not. You know, it's great if you're white and you're European. Yeah, great. But it's not great if you're black and European. There's no freedom of movement there. I can't, as I said, how many top bankers or executives do you know in Italy, Germany? Actually, Germany's probably okay. Italy, France, Spain, Greece. None. Where are they? Portugal, where are they?
Well, Dave, listen, I tell you where they are. They're in London, working their socks off, paying taxes and I think it's a great thing that we've got in London. Germans, Italians, Spanish, French, Bulgarians, Romanians working their socks off in the city. And I tell you this, if we haven't got access to the single market, aren't members of the single market, aren't part of the customs union, and aren't given an impression that we will still welcome talent, you will see people leaving London to get the jobs in Frankfurt and elsewhere. And that's one of the reasons why the chief executive of Goldman Sachs, an American bank who employs thousands in London and across Europe, said last week, and I'm paraphrasing, we're going to Frankfurt, mate, because that's the future, bearing in mind the shambolic way this government's negotiating with the European Union. And I welcome the fact that minorities want to come here because we've got great rights and we treat people with dignity. I think that should be a source of pride. But thanks for your call, Dave. Dave was ringing in from Maidstone in Kent. We're now going to go to the adverts. I'm being told off sort of using hand language for going over, but I wanted Dave to have his word.
This is LBC.
Coming soon, LBC will be taking over the world-famous Hippodrome in London's Leicester Square for a night with me, Nigel Farage. I'll let you know what happened on the night of Brexit, my relationship with Donald Trump, and what I really think of Jean-Claude Juncker, which might surprise you. To buy tickets and to be at this one-off night, go to lbc.co.uk.
In England, some constituencies have a lot more electors in them than other constituencies. Boundaries are changing to make parliamentary constituencies more equal. Don't miss the last chance to help us shape the new constituencies in your local area. Time is running out. View a map of the proposed changes in your area and have your say at bce2018.org.uk.
Block management. Two very simple words. But what do they actually mean? Well, there's budget approval for starters, then service charge invoices, health and safety paperwork, Cleaning, gardening, maintenance, inspections, contracts, insurance, emergency call-outs, and a whole lot more besides.
So for complete block management solutions, just remember 3 simple letters. ABC. ABC Estates will take care of all your day-to-day management, leaving you as happy as Larry. See abcestates.co.uk or call 0800 888 6688.
Eating some crisps, watching Sky One. Crisps are proper telly food. No plates, no cutlery, no table. They even come in their own tidy little bag. Just lick your fingers before touching the remote. Love my crisps. Almost as much as I love telly. Crispy one? Sky One.
Divorce. It affects every part of your life. You, your family, your home, your finances. And if you're a man facing divorce, perhaps even one you don't want, the situation becomes even more complicated. It's at times like these that you need a professional you can trust. Cordell & Cordell is dedicated to helping men in matters relating to divorce. Call now on 0330 60 60 161 or visit cordell.co.uk, office in central London. A partner men can count on.
Begin. Grow. Imagine how much more you could do. With fast, affordable business loans, you can find out. Funding Circle, for those made to do more. Visit fundingcircle.com. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Is your business structured in the correct way to manage your exposure to income tax, capital gains tax and inheritance tax? Does your business structure assist you in achieving your goals? Or do you feel like you suffer a tax charge every time you want to do something new? Let Barnes Rofe look at your business structure and see if we can help you with these issues. Visit barnesrofe.com. Barnes Rofe, clever accountants for business.
Sangeeta used to dread taking meter readings. Tracking Gaz and Lecky meant going into the gloomy depths of the cupboard under the stairs. Last time she emerged with a sore nose, a bruised elbow, and a fuming temper. Fortunately, Sangeeta has just had a smart meter installed, which sends the readings directly to her energy supply. And an in-home display shows exactly how much energy she's using. So no more trips to the cupboard. Contact your energy supplier today about getting your smart meter at no extra cost.
It's a kind of magic.
It's sale time at Furniture Village and everything's reduced. There are irresistible savings on a huge range of sofas, dining tables and beds, including all our famous brands. Order now to make your home magic in time for Christmas. Extra offers end Sunday.
This is LBC. Sadiq Khan. Text 84850.
My name is Sadiq Khan. I'm the Mayor of London, sitting in for James O'Brien until 1 o'clock. And I can't believe it's already 10:51. And so we're talking in the first part of this show about the impact the EU referendum has had on you, your family, your friends, your neighbours, or your work colleagues even. How the negotiations or lack of negotiations impacting on your life. We've had so many texts and so many tweets. Thank you very much. And so many calls as well. And the next caller is Naima from London. Naima, hey, morning. Where are you? Where are you from in London?
I'm from East London, Ilford.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to say I'm so proud to be in London. I'm so proud to have you as my mayor as well.
That's very kind. What's your question or comment? By the way, listeners, I've not paid Naima to say that, but I'm grateful, Naima. Thank you very much.
No, that's fine. To be honest, I'm 16, so I'm not young. I'm not old enough to have voted in the EU referendum, but I did support Remain, and I come from a family of Remainers, and I'm also a member of the Labour Party.
Okay, good.
So yeah, I'm just, to see the way the negotiations are going is quite scary for me. To see the way that's going to affect my future, and I'm just it's so uncertain at the moment, and I just feel, being a part of the Labour Party as well, it's kind of upsetting to see that Labour aren't showing a good alternative for me as a Remainer.
What would you like to see the Labour leadership doing, Naima?
I just feel like I'd like to see them pushing towards maybe remaining in the single market or having a better deal compared to the Tories, who look to just be gone for a no deal. Because at the moment, I just feel that it looks so uncertain that there's such a strong possibility that we're going to crash out with no deal.
And can I ask you this? You mentioned your age. You're 16. Are your friends of a similar age? Are they also interested in the referendum vote and whether we stay in or leave and stuff? What's their views of your peer group?
Not really. I don't come with a friend group who are quite interested in politics, to be honest.
Right.
So not really. But when we've spoken at school about this kind of topic, most people were kind of favoured with Remain and the Remain vote.
Well, look, now, Jeremy Corbyn's coming in later on the show, so please try and ring in or tweet in relation to your what you'd like to see the Labour leadership doing in relation to this going forward. I think, my view is quite straightforward. I think Keir Starmer, Jeremy Corbyn and the team have done a really good job this summer holding the government to account and also making clear in relation to the discussions they've had with the EU and the trips they've made to Brussels that actually it's quite clear the EU don't want to punish us and want to do a good deal with us, but I think the Labour leadership is right to respect the referendum result, because I think one of the things that can turn people to be going from becoming active to becoming cynical and then angry is if politicians reject the vote that they passed at the referendum. Anyway, Naomi, thanks for ringing in, thanks for the interest you take in politics, and hopefully more of your friends will get interested going forward. The next call is from Alex, I think, who is also from London and in Kensington. Good morning, Alex.
Hello, good morning.
How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you, and you?
Not bad. Well, so far so good, but I've still got 2 hours and 6 minutes to go, Alex, so fingers crossed.
I won't be that long. Yes, I just want to make a reference to the first caller this morning, an Italian lady who stayed up all night to hear about the referendum.
Well, no, she went to bed. She didn't know the results. She went to bed at 1 o'clock. Didn't realise till the next day. Yeah.
No, I also went to bed because I expected a no vote. Which is not what I expect. But then I woke up in the night, went to see, and I couldn't believe it. I was ecstatic to hear that the UK had chosen independence. But if I may tell you something about me, just very briefly.
Please.
Yeah, I was living in northern Italy, in Milan, with my British wife. She was she had been working for a year in Italy. She was a Geordie of Scottish stock, and she worked there with a work permit. At the time, you needed a work permit. And then we married. She became automatically Italian without asking at the time. And then I started working for a company which sent me to Switzerland for 3 years. Then I went to Greece for another 3 years. Then to France for an almost same period, and then they decided to send me here, and she was happy also to come back to her own country, and then we lived here. And I'll tell you, I like Europe, not the European Union. I speak most of the languages.
Sure. Have you got a British passport now, Alex?
No, I don't have a British passport.
So you've still got the Italian passport, yeah.
No, I have an Italian passport. Yeah. My wife is dual, but I'm the only one who has only in the family children, etc. And I'm very happy that the UK is trying to is gaining this independence for various reasons. First of all, these things.
Time is short, Alex. Just speed it up a bit, if you don't mind.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Time is short, so if you could speed up what you're saying, if you don't mind.
What I'm saying is, even especially from the historical point of view, I think that the European Union is doomed, because in history, if you think, every time that you have countries put together with different very, very, very large ethnic minorities, different religions, it always ends badly. You don't have to go far to see that. Think of Yugoslavia, where they thought of putting together countries that always hated each other. They put them together after the First World War, and one common currency, the dinar, one capital, one army, and as soon as they could, they started.
Alex, just say I'm not going over the referendum campaign. I think I accept the result of the referendum the verdict, which is to leave the EU. I think the question is, Alex, how have you been affected by the fact that the negotiations appear not to be going well, and particularly bearing in mind people like you, with who've got passports that aren't British, are feeling a bit vulnerable. But you're saying quite clearly you aren't worried at all about your future. You're quite confident about your future.
I am confident. I am confident in the future, and it's difficult to answer precisely your question, because one thing is reasoning, one thing is feeling. I cannot understand why people keep trying to come to this country, running risk of coming to this country if things are going so badly. And I think that those who oppose Brexit now, who really hope that that the negotiations will break down and we will remain, sorry, I say we meaning the British now, if you don't mind, we will remain here. They keep talking Britain down, they're trying to sabotage it, and I think that the majority of those who say that are those who have an interest, probably a money interest to remain in the UK.
Well, Alex, thank you very much for ringing in. It's great to hear somebody who's Italian, still has the Italian passport and using the word we when describing the British, which shows the benefits of immigration, where Italians think of themselves as British, even and want us to leave the European Union, but have a real sense of belonging in this country. One of the great things about our city and our country, giving people a sense of belonging and well-being. Look, I'm almost finished my first hour, which is quite remarkable, bear in mind it feels it only began a couple of minutes ago. During the next stage of the show this morning, we'll be talking about sport. Does sport have a powerful role to play making society better, or are people getting tired of politics in sport? You know the numbers, you know the text, you know the tweets at LBC. Get in touch.
On FM, online, on your mobile and on digital radio. Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 11